Well, thank you, Azwi. Now, great show, an education, a laugh, and a very serious message that warns of the ramifications of man's stupidity. Well, this is according to one reviewer, while another describes it as nature's greatest danger is human nature. Put it out on your list. You won't be disappointed. Now, these reviewers are referring to the inimitable Benny Bushwhacker's Human Nature, which opened at the Elizabeth Sneddon Theatre on Thursday and runs until the 11th of August. The world-renowned conservationist, environmental campaigner, and the only man to have thrice walked the length of Africa barefoot joins us from our Durban studios to tell us more. Benny!
It's
the inimitable Benny.
Hello, good morning.
Good to see you, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, thanks. Down in Durban today, a lovely warm day, beautiful blue sky, which is always lovely for nature.
Indeed. Tell me, what is human nature? What's that all about?
Well, you know, where I work up in the Mkuzi bush, we've got a conflict between what's nature and human nature. And so for me, the words human nature are actually a contradiction in terms, right? Because you've got human on the one side, which, let's be honest, we quite often feel can be a negative thing. We're a bit scared of what the human being is doing at the moment. So you've got human nature, and you've got human and nature in the same sentence. And if you put those two things together, you've got a tsunami of trouble. And that is that line between humans and nature. And in all the reserves I've worked in all the places I've been, those two things conflict. And so I'm looking at ways to change human nature such that nature and human nature can coexist more happily.
And I'm sure that nature and human nature is what inspired you to walk the length and breadth of Africa barefoot.
Yes, it did indeed. It was a rather silly thing to do, but what I try to do was I try to follow all of the green corridors throughout our beautiful continent in an effort to what I'm trying to do, which is turn Africa green. That's my big thing. I've got a project called the Paradise Project, and the Paradise Project works to create an African dream that is through conservation and not through industrialization. So in honor of trying to do that, I try to go all the way through Africa on these little corridors of natural beauty to prove that our continent can be a green paradise. And so that's my goal, that's my life journey, and that's the vision I'd love to give to your listeners and your viewers today.
Yeah, and through your project, in as much as you're trying to advocate for making Africa green, what is it that you're trying to highlight? What are you raising awareness on?
Well, I mean, at the moment, I'm actually working on a leopard project. So up in Mkuzi, there have been a couple of problems where leopard that are a roaming species have obviously gone beyond the boundaries of the reserves, and they've actually started to kill some of the local children. We've had 2 children who've been taken by leopards up in Mkuzi. And so my big sort of fundraising initiative now on that side is to make sure that we preserve that boundary between humans and nature, that very aspect of human nature. And a leopard is a great example because he's territorial, but he also roams a huge distance. And he doesn't see someone's cattle or someone's sheep or someone's goats or someone's children even as something that's not within his biosphere, you know. So he's gonna have a go at that. But that hurts our communities, you know, with good reason. These are good families that are just trying to raise a family themselves on the boundaries of these reserves. So where human and nature collide, that's the impact area. And a leopard is a good example of where that's becoming more than edgy. It's becoming quite scary for families and scary for our leopards. So we need to find a way to make sure that human beings understand their own human nature and that the leopards can be monitored.
You know, Benny,
that's the fundraising initiative.
Okay, and through your comedy of conservation, you use humor as a tool to highlight some of these issues, isn't it? How does that happen?
Well, that's what I'm trying to. I would like to do. I mean, I try and look at all the sort of aspects of nature that are funny to ensure, like, for example, here's a funny one for you, Simpi, that 3% of all ice in Antarctica is actually frozen penguin wee. I mean, that's freaky, right? Kangaroos don't fart. For example, I think that's probably why they bounce so high, because they're all pumped full of Australian air, which is much like the Australian people. But there are all these funny little facts about animals, which I think people can be aware of, which will make them more aware of nature, and therefore maybe reflect on their own human nature and recognize that we all are freaks of nature, and therefore we should try and get on with nature.
And you stated production in Makhanda earlier this year. How has been the response so far?
Look, I'm not an actor. I'm a conservationist, but it's been incredible. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm winning things like theatre awards, which are rather bizarre for me. I won some ovation awards, they called, in Grahamstown, which are basically... I went on the fringe just to sort of peddle my wares and see what people thought, and I'm getting a massive response. So I've got a national tour lined up, which is phenomenal. I mean, all these things you don't expect to happen to a common bush boy with a standard 4 education, and I'm touring all over the country. Yeah, Makhanda was amazing. National Arts Festival, the centre of our artistic heritage, and it was such a good time. I really enjoyed it.
Benny, thank you so much for chatting to us, man, and keep up the good work.
Thanks so much, man. I just want to mention, I am going to be touring the country, so I just want to say I'm going to be at the Hilton Festival and in Joburg and in Cape Town, so look out for the message.
Give us those details.
Well, I'm doing a national tour: Hilton Arts Festival, Monte Casino, Baxter Theatre, Pietermaritzburg, Atterbury Theatre in Pretoria. So come and listen to the message and have a good laugh.
We'll be on the lookout for that, Benny. Thank you so much for your time, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Well, that was a well-renowned conservationist, environmental campaigner Benny Bushwhacker speaking to us about his production titled Human Nature, which is currently on at the Elizabeth Sneddon Theatre until the 11th of August. This is Morning Live.